The library's new 5-year strategic plan includes a series of capital projects that involve new renovations and new locations. Library CEO Jackie Nytes is with us to talk about these plans. And Jackie, where do we stand in the process of actually getting the building projects underway?
Well, the process has many steps, John, as you can imagine, because it is public money. And so we have been through a public notification period where citizens could pass around a petition to raise some discussion about all this. Fortunately, everyone seemed comfortable moving ahead. So the resolutions that the library board has passed, the preliminary bond resolutions they're called, will now move forward to the city-county council. And those will be introduced at the council on October 13th. And then the Municipal Corporations Committee will hold a public hearing on these bond issues. And ultimately, in November, the city-county council will vote on our preliminary resolutions. If we are successful at that stage, the resolutions come back to the library board one more time for another public hearing and a final vote on moving forward with these bond issues.
Okay.
So, long process.
Yes, it is. Assuming they go through as planned, what would be among the first projects to be constructed?
Sure. The very first projects are actually 3 smaller renovations. You mentioned in your introduction that it's renovations and new libraries. But at the East Washington Library, which is 103 years old, we're looking at getting them an elevator and getting them some more space so they can have a computer lab, which is much in demand in that community. At the Southport Library, which is one of our busiest libraries, we're hoping to be able to rearrange their interior space to make them more productive and allow them to accommodate a different kind of library service than what we've had in the past. And then the next one that we will be tackling is the Warren Library. So there will be several interior renovations come out first. That will be followed by bigger projects on the west side with the Eagle Library, and on the near east side.
A new location for the Eagle Library.
New location for Eagle,
Right.
yes, something people can find, something more visible. And then on the near east side, a new location, a standalone library for the Brightwood community.
Okay, very good. I mentioned these all relate to the library strategic plan, but what did the building projects say in terms of demand for service?
Well,
what people want to see with the library system in the future?
That's very much what was discussed in the new strategic plan, and it was interesting because there is this commonly held belief that libraries don't need space anymore as we become more and more electronic. But our own data, our use patterns, and a lot of the research that we have done and others have done suggest that in fact it's just the opposite. We may not need as many shelves for books in the future, but we need more space than ever for people. This is space for people to study in, for people to pursue informal education, for people to meet with others in shared activities, whether it be tutoring or clubs or organizations, and certainly all of our early childhood work. So there's very much an increasing demand for space in our libraries.
And in addition to that, it's not just about building projects, but a model of service for the library that the strategic plan goes to great lengths to address.
It does. We know we're really moving from being this storage facility for things that you come and pick up and then you leave, to a model that has to do with learning and sharing and innovating at the library. It's your third place in the community, and I think that really is going to result in a very different approach to space in libraries in the future.
During the planning process and the process of obtaining input from the community, there were those in the community expressing concern about losing libraries in their particular neighborhoods, Fountain Square, Flanner House. What has been your response in explaining how the library will continue to try to provide service in those neighborhoods?
Well, certainly we appreciate the frustration that's felt by neighbors who are close by. Historically, it's been my experience that it's very, very hard to relocate a library because people like it close to them. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. However, the population of Marion County has also moved around, and we have to try to adjust our service points to meet that demand. For the communities where libraries are today that won't stay there in the long run, these are rented facilities that will eventually be relocated, we have a number of possibilities. Certainly, we are having great luck developing partnerships in these neighborhoods and communities, and so we will still have a presence, whether it be at the daycare or the multi-service center. Perhaps it will be through some sort of deposit collection or pop-up library. We'll still be around. You know, when it comes to the Boys and Girls Club or things like that, people will still find a presence for their library in their community. And in many instances, people have other alternatives. In the case of Fountain Square, which has been a very successful library, small but powerful, the Garfield Park Library has improved so much, and it's less than a mile away, and it's accessible by bike from the Fountain Square community. So we're hoping that people will adjust patterns and realize how they can get library service from other points in the community.
In terms of a new location, Lawrence Township, the city of Lawrence, the Fort Bend area, has been on the drawing board and now perhaps a reality.
It has been on the drawing board a very long time. The strategic plan, probably 3 plans ago, talked about a library up there, and certainly the population trends in the area there on the northeast side between Warren and our library that's up at Lawrence North High School. The population trends have certainly filled in up there, and it's time for us to look at locating a library close to the Fort Bend neighborhood up there.
So with all the research that was done to address changing populations, the needs of people who don't have library service, filling gaps in service, and yet modernizing the library to meet patrons where they're at today, that would be perhaps a way to describe our plan.
I think so. I think it's those 2 prongs, and in both cases we're talking about what's the best access for people. Geographic access and technology and service style, all different kinds of access that we want to make sure we're improving and trying to keep up with the population as they move around and as they change.
As we close, any comments on the input and level of interest there was in getting the library to this point?
Well, in many cases, the choices that we have scripted in this plan did not take any amazing digging on our part. The community spoke, without a doubt. The community spoke. Folks on the far west side, where we're talking about moving Eagle, the kind of demand we see on the south side in Perry Township. Looking at the numbers, it's very clear, and the populations in these various neighborhoods have spoken up and told us what's needed. So the amount of input's been excellent. It really has been, and we're grateful for that because people love their library and they're talking about what they want from it in the future.
So this plan reflects what the community has been telling us over the last year or so.
It does.
And we will move forward, and we will keep you up to date on progress relative to the building plans and the progress over the next 5 years through Yours to Experience, the library's strategic plan. Thanks, Jackie, for joining us.
You're welcome, John.
You can find this plan. We have a link on the library's website at ndpl.org to find the online version. The printed versions, which we have many of, are available upon request. Call us in the communications office at 275-4022 for more information.